Hi everybody. I just wanted to show you a quick update of the latest changes within FrontEnd Creator. This video is more just to get you familiar with some of the UI nuances and paradigms that are in place now. So I'm going to go ahead and pretend that this is the first time I log in. Obviously it's not, but I will log in. And what FrontEnd Creator is doing right now is it's pulling down all of my projects. So I have several projects here that I can look at. I have entities, translations, templates, and then the marketplace. The entities, translations, and templates are all document based, so they're just JSON files. Projects is actually file system based, so these are actual physical files. So for example, if I want to load the index.html and then preview that, it'll actually load this project as if it were a standalone Aurelian application. So you can just toggle that to go through all the different states, or you can just launch a new tab, test that your routing works. So just like you would a regular app. And the same thing applies when you're in here. For example, if I want to test the routes. This is just being exposed to an iframe, but more than anything else, you have the ability to load as many projects as you want. So quickly moving along, I just want to focus on projects really quick here from a standpoint of what you can do here. So say for example, I want to clone something. We now have these checkboxes. If I check this out here, actually let me go back. You have to be in this view to do that. So let me click here, random users. If I check something, I can now delete it. I'll confirm that I want to delete it. If I go back now to random users, it's no longer there. If I want to make a copy of, say for example, these three files, I can check those and select clone, and what that'll do is go through in random users. Now we have 3 copies. So more than anything else is just more of a batch processing to allow you to do things. There are several pieces that are contextual, meaning that only things will show up here if you're on a specific item. And this is for some of the roadmap stuff. So you notice here that there's no navigation, but if you check this, you'll see that now you can configure the router. This is going to be an upcoming feature that will allow you to create your router. Basically what it'll do, well, in a project that has one, let's go to chart and look at that. Basically what this will do is it'll try to manage this array. Just like we saw in the navigation sample in the old application, you'll be able to do the same thing. Another feature that you'll see is if you select the index, and I keep forgetting I need to be in this view. If you select index, you'll see something here that's called manage external resources. And all that means here is that the way I'm loading stuff is I'm using require, and so I can actually manage for your project, allow you to define dependencies as well as or dependencies as well as the order in which you want your dependencies resolved. So this again, as it's just another JSON object, I'm hoping to have a nice UI for that, and so we have an extension for that as far as the roadmap to be included. Let's see what else. If I were to let's see, right-click index.html. It will give me add external resources. It only is available on index.html. I think if I try here test, nothing shows up. If I were to right-click app.js, configure router shows up, just like you would see it if you had selected it in the checkbox. That will only show up for HTML for JS files. And then you have the ability to say, well, say for example, I want to clone a whole project. So let me go ahead and clone chart. And I say clone, I'll call this chart 2 sample, hit enter. And what this is doing on the server is now has created another copy of that as a separate project. So now you see we have another one, just like this other one. So you could do modifications maybe one of what if scenarios. If you're done with that and you're like, well, I don't need it anymore, you can right click it and say delete, and that'll delete the project. One other feature that is going to be coming down the pipe is something called add linked file, like in Visual Studio, where you could have files that are virtually referenced or linked from another project. This will be the same thing, where you'll be able to have kind of that concept where in the background we'll keep a manifest JSON object that allow you to have shared files, so you're not being redundant. The source location that comes from will always be the source that drives these others. The one biggest difference is the fact that it will automatically create that copy for you so that your project still works. So you have a local copy of what the source is. Anytime you modify it or click on it, it always goes back to the source. So just a nice little feature. Let's see, what else can we look at? Another thing that's kind of nice is, say for example, I really like this pie chart, and I'd love to take a look at the file. So right here you can see that I was able to download both those files. That's pretty nice. What's even cooler is the fact that I can actually take this guy and export it, and it'll actually create a file for me. I'm going to go ahead and open it up just to show you. I'll bring it over here. So I have it right here. I don't know where to download it. This chart sample, and it's in my downloads. I'm going to just open up a terminal, new window, and in that window I'm going to configure it really quick just to my downloads folder. Actually, I can make it so you guys can see this. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do Python simple HTTP server on port 8080, and then here I'll just go to localhost port 8080, and hey, that's exactly what we downloaded, but with the ability for us to be able to test it, look at it, play with it. You can see that it's being hosted and serving it. So it's pretty nice that you have the project in the cloud and you can just do an export and it still runs if you do it. Obviously, there may be some other things that you want to do with it, but it's still a pretty nice feature. Let's see, what else do we have in here that I just wanted to show you. You may not have any entities or templates or translations, but let me just show you what you can do with an entity. The same thing here, if I wanted to say is active and I wanted to clone that, I can clone it and it makes me a copy of it. Or if I say, you know what, I don't want that guy anymore, I want to get rid of it, you can do the same thing. Also, if you want at this level, you want to clone a whole entity, you can just clone it and it'll just make a copy of it. And so you still see that you have a copy. The same thing applies if you want to delete. You just get prompted and now you delete it and you have it. All other things work the same way here. If we look at our translations or our templates, the exact same thing applies here. If I wanted to make a clone of this guy, I could go and clone it, make modifications, just to kind of show you that how easy it is to look at kind of your templates and stuff like that. But more than anything else, I just wanted to, and this is new, that you can either cancel, so that it cancels navigation, ignore the changes that you just made, or save the changes. I'm going to ignore them before, and it shows that you rejected the changes. So hopefully that gives you an idea. There's a lot of other things. There's some mnemonics. This is how you create a new project. So if I wanted to, I could say test2 project, and then refresh, and now we have test2 project, and it comes scaffolded with just a index, app, HTML, and main.js. So that I consider to be kind of the baseline for what you would need. Doesn't really do much. If I were to load it and then preview it, just says hello world. But again, it gets you started. Hopefully it gives you an idea of where you can go with this, just like any other project. I am including in this project, in this template, Bootstrap and jQuery. However, you can modify and change that to whatever you want, as well as a relay fetch. But you can change it to whatever you want. So hopefully this, at least in a high level, gives you an idea. Play around with what you can do with this. Take a look at it. Let me know what you think. I guess the only other thing that I didn't show you about this is like within, let me go to random users because I have a sample page here. You can also, within the designer, drag and drop. So you've got the ability in this toolbox. We can also try to do entities. Let's see about just a simple drag and drop of this contact entity. And you see that everything was dropped here. So hopefully that gives you an idea. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm sure there's going to be some bugs throughout, but I'm looking forward to getting some feedback and seeing how things go. Thank you.